Hey everyone, New Skill here, coming at you live with another hero video. This one I'm trying something a little bit different actually. As you can see, I have the four categories, technically three categories plus extra, of hero monsters here. And I'm going to go through a brief explanation, or actually a more in-depth explanation of why you would put these cards in your deck versus why you might not. So you have more of a realistic point of what you would actually want to put in your deck, because every hero deck is different, and just because I do it one way doesn't mean I don't see the value why you might do it another way. So I'm going to go through each card that I see most commonly in other hero decks and my own hero deck, and why I would play it like this and why other players play it like this, and give you uh, more clear reason why these cards are actually played rather than just put it in because heroes play this. We'll start with our main lineup, which will be actually elemental heroes. We're going to go through different ratios and why people play different ratios and why people play certain cards. We'll start with Stratos. I personally always go for the three Stratos. Stratos is here in the deck for consistency. Stratos is your best normal summon, is one of your best special summons. It gets to search any hero monster. I personally think that's great for this deck because, of course, it's not relinquished to just E heroes, it's to Destiny heroes, any hero monsters in the game, actually. And yes, while some people say you only need to play the two, because you don't want to draw more than one of these, because you normal summon one, what are you going to do with the other one, right? However, you're never upset to see this in your opening hand. Ever. Never, ever, ever upset seeing this over opening hand. And even if you do two or even three, there's other means to use it, whether it's as fusion fodder, whether it's at discard fodder, whether it's just you need, maybe you even had the opportunity with a certain other card I'm going to show you later. Card Trooper? Cross Keeper, what you call it, where you can specialize someone that way. So I play S3 because you want to see it as much as possible. And while I can see while some people play S2 because to leave room in for some other cards, I always leave S3, and I think that's the most correct way of doing it. Next is going to be the Shadow Mist. I personally only play one. However, a lot of people you'll see playing the two. The thing about Shadow Mist is Shadow Mist has two different effects. The first effect is if it's special summoned, you can add Mask Change, which is right here, Mask Change. You can add Mask Change, which lets you go easily into your Mask heroes such as Dark Law, which is crazy. However, that's only once per turn. You can't activate the same thing, and it's tied to its second effect. Its second effect is if it is sent to the graveyard, you can search one hero monster from your deck and add it to your hand, much like Shadows actually. The thing about the Shadow Mist is you can only activate one of these effects once per turn. So let's say you special summon Shadow Mist, you get the Mask Change, and then you send it to the graveyard for a fusion. You cannot search for a hero monster because you already activated first effect. That's why I personally go for one, because in my opinion, you only really need this the one time for your main combo, where the main combo being you can special summon this, gets your Mask Change there, and then your Mask Change something else. So when it's your opponent's turn, this can be sent to the graveyard through other means. However, I can see why people would play the two for the sole fact that sometimes, a lot of times, honestly, duels don't end within the first two turns. Sometimes you need more ammo for the crackback, and having second Shadow Mist in your deck, even hard drawing it's nice because you can use it for fusions that way. You don't have to worry about it, and you can send it to the graveyard later. let's go. Having a second Shadow Mist is good for consistency. However, I prefer to end my duels with heroes by locking them out immediately, slash ending the duel within that first turn, whether it's me going first or me going second. So oftentimes I don't need the second Shadow Mist. However, for consistency and for those players that want to be prepared for those 3, 4, 5 turn games, the second Shadow Mist would be important in that scenario. Next is the Liquid Soldier. You always play this at 1. Liquid Soldier is good because it's a different tribute. As you can see, you have your winter tribute, you have your dark tributes, and you have lighter tributes. However, to get a different tribute for your specific tribute elemental hero monsters, you have Liquid Soldier. Liquid Soldier's effect is if you normal summon, you can special summon one hero monster from grave onto the field, right next to it. While that effect can be very useful if you already have things inside your graveyard, such as Shadow Mist actually, which is a great way to bring the Shadow Mist back, if it being the one-of, if that is the one-of, which is even more ammo why you should only play one of these. However, I do understand too. You oftentimes don't use that as a normal summon. Most times you use this as fusion fodder to get its second effect, which is to draw 2, discard 1. Which honestly is really good, considering the fact that your deck's going to be so thin regardless, since you go through your deck so much in Hero, that, that you're oftentimes going to get your few hand traps, your mass change that are still in there, that effect is actually really powerful in this deck. And honestly, the sole fact that not the sole fact, but because it's a different tribute with that nice secondary effect. And the third effect of being able to know someone get the second hero out is useful enough to always include this card. Next is Neos. Neos isn't even a question. Neos, you have to play Neos. One Neos. Neos is a brick in your hand technically because you want to search out in other ways, such as Infernal Devicer. This is your main way of searching Neos. Neos is just basically Dark Magician stats 2500 attack, and it's fusion material for your big boss for Infernal Rage, and for your big boss Neos Wingman, where you need a Neos monster. So for that reason, Neos is you need Neos. There's no question. Every competitive hero deck plays one. Next is the 3 big ifs. Mostly, these 3 aren't usually played. You can play them. And I occasionally do play them, but for much different reasons. The first one is Wind Creel Below 6, which is new actually, very new. It just came out a couple weeks ago. Wind Creel Below 6, what it does is it's always an element hero and a favorite card. So you can search it with cards that search favorite cards, such as your Infernal Rage, instead of search for a trap card if you already have the trap card. But its effect is you can special summon it by banishing 1 Wind Creel monster, which you only have the one of, usually. Or an Elemental Hero Fusion monster, which you go through a lot of those to special summon it. And what it does, this is kind of a combination of Ghost Ogre and Ghost Mourner. Ghost Mourner? Yeah, Ghost Mourner. Where if someone monster activates effect on the field, you can use this card's effect, if it's on the field, to tribute it, to pop that monster. And the original attack of that monster is dealt to your opponent's life points, which if there's something big like, I don't know, a Flamberg, Snake Eye Flamberg, which is 3000, that 3000 could be enough for game, honestly, and could make them stray away from certain combo lines if they know they're going to die. If this is like turn 3 you're using this. However, it does not negate. If this card negated, this would be a must-have in decks. However, it does not negate, so this is big. So I've been testing around. I still like it for several reasons. One being for cards like Fusion Destiny. for cards like Fusion Destiny, which is right here, Fusion Destiny. For cards like Fusion Destiny, you can send it. It's a hero monster, right? That is at least level 6, so it does qualify for your DPE, because DPE asks for one Destiny hero, one level 6 or higher monster. So worst comes worst, it's fuel for that. It's always hero monster for hero fuel, and it gives you more layers on your opponent's turn, because sometimes a pop is all you need. Like let's say they link something out, you can pop out the link, get it off the field, and sometimes even though it doesn't negate at all. If it's something that only affects something it's pointing towards, that pop could be good enough to negate, to stop that effect and deal a little bit bonus damage. So this is a good consider. However, I can understand why a lot of people choose not to add it, even though he is new and honestly one of my favorite cards right now. Next is the Element Hero Honest Neos. This is here honestly for the pure fact of for it's a hand trap. It's an interesting hand trap, much like the regular Honest. If this card's in your hand or on the field, you can tribute / discard this card to increase the attack of another hero monster. So like regular Neos, for example, you discard this card. This now has 5,000 since 2,500 plus 2,500 is 5,000. So it's a surprise. There's a surprise factor with that, considering that a lot of people don't expect this kind of hand trap and could easily let you beat over things. And with cards like Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, where you can attack more than once, sometimes the extra 2,500 more than once matters a lot for OTKs. There's another Vision Hero Fusion that I don't have called Trinity that doubles its attack, and then you do this, your attack is 7,500, and it can attack up to 3 times for monsters. That's a huge OTK right there that this very easily helps enable. However, other than having that hand trap capability for battle, which is honestly kind of the worst hand trap capability in my opinion, because a lot of times they're just going to pop your monster instead of trying to hit it. It is the same thing as Winker level 6. It's level 7, I believe, level 7. So it's fuel. It's a different attribute than your wind, dark, and waters. But it's not a normal hero monster, so it's not the same thing as regular Neos. And oftentimes I do cut this card. And the last one that I would consider running is Blazeman. Blazeman is a very unique effect where it's a poly search. It's a good poly searcher deck, which a lot of people wonder why you need that, considering the fact that Vision Hero Vion exists, which is Foolish Burial and a poly search at the same time. However, for Blazeman, Blazeman's actually has 2 effects that I'll explain now first. Blazeman is, if you normal summon it, right? You can add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand, which, poly search. Unlike Vion, right? You don't have, let's say you don't have any graveyard. You don't need anything in your graveyard to activate this. So for cards, if you just hard draw this, or if they are banishing your graveyard to things like a Dimensional Shifter, you can still activate this and search your poly for free. And the second effect, which much like Shadow Mist, you can't activate to use the first effect. The second effect is you can send 1 Element Hero monster from your deck to your graveyard to change this attribute attack and defense to that monster until the end of phase, which honestly is not very useful. The most use you'll see out of this is sending Shadow Mist and getting Shadow Mist search. But considering the fact that you can't activate both effects at once, you're most likely just searching for the poly. And this is basically just banish Dimensional Shifter counters. A Dimensional Shifter counter, which can be useful occasionally, which is why some people occasionally run it. And another poly search is still nice, because poly is very huge for heroes in general. So those are your hero monsters, elemental hero monsters. Next we'll go quickly in our Destiny hero monsters, which there's not much of. Basically you got the 3 Destiny heroes, malicious, which everyone's running set 3 now if you play heroes. It's Destiny hero malicious. What it does is if it's in your graveyard, you can banish one to summon another one. Same thing in this graveyard, banish to summon another. It's not once per turn. So essentially it's two free summons and you manage to get that to your graveyard. It's such good advantage. And considering the fact that you need since it's level 6, it fits on the category of DPE. And considering it's a Destiny hero, it fits the other category. So this is a must-have of 3 of every hero deck. Another must-have is the Denier. Denier is basically a 4th malicious. A 4th and 5th malicious, actually, technically. Because what Denier does is, if this card is no more special summon, you can put 1 Destiny hero from your Banish Zone, Graveyard, or your deck to top of your deck. Which sounds like, why would you ever want to do that, right? However, let's say you have your 2... let's say you have your 2 malicious is banished, right? And last one graveyard, right? You can't use its effect anymore. If you summon your Denier, right? You can send this back to the top of your deck so you can activate malicious again. So that's why it's a 4th malicious. But why it's considered a 5th malicious, technically, is the fact that if it's in your graveyard, right? If it's in your graveyard and if you control another Destiny hero monster, or you have another Destiny hero monster in your graveyard, you can special summon it for free. That, however, is once per duel. So even this goes back to your graveyard, you can't activate that effect anymore. So be wary of that. However, a free summon is crazy. Crazy. These cards, it's for having these 2 cards in graveyard. What's called, that's going to be 1 summon, 2 summon, 3 summon, 4 summon off of just that. And because you play cards like Fusion Destiny, you can easily put that in your graveyard, which is why you will always be playing Malicious at 3 and Denier at 1. Next you have Plasma. Plasma you always run 2 for the pure fact that in some matchups, Plasma just wins you the game. Wins you the game straight. For games like against Tenpai, you summon this. What Plasma is, start out is, if you have in hand, it cannot be normal summon set. How it's summoned is if you have 3 monsters, you can send those 3 to the graveyard to special summon it, right? What should we call it? And while this card is out of field, it is a skill drain. Monsters your opponent controls. Your opponent, it's a one-sided skill drain. Effects do not resolve and are negated. They can still activate the effects though. So like, if it sends itself to graveyard for cost, the effect will still go through since it's no longer on the field. However, some decks like Tenpai just crumbles on that underneath that, because not only can the monsters are not impervious by battle anymore, they can't synchro in the battle phase anymore because of Plasma. So sometimes summoning Plasma just wins you the game. And Plasma's second effect, which is also really good, is it can, let's pretend like this is your opponent. It's called, it can grab your opponent's monster, target your opponent's monster, and put it as a spell and trap, and connects itself to Plasma to have it gain half its attack. So it takes one of the monsters fully and essentially gives you power for it, which is nice considering in fact one of the big ways to get over Plasma is to beat over it. But if you take control of something large, now this card's going to have like 3,000, 3,400 attack. And it's going to, considering the fact that they can't activate monster effects, they're going to have a lot harder time beating over that. And the last Destiny hero that many people consider running, which I personally run in my side deck, not in the main deck, though a lot of people run it in the side deck, is Dark Angel. Dark Angel is actually very, very, very unique. because you don't want to see Dark Angel on your field. You want to give it to your opponent. And how you do that is if there are 3 Destiny Heroes in your graveyard, 1, 2, 3, you can send this from hand to your graveyard and then special summon 1 Destiny Hero monster from your grave to your opponent. So you give it to them. And the reason why you want to do that is because its other effect. Its other effect is if this monster is on the field, you cannot spell cards that you activate do not resolve and are negated and destroyed, which is crazy. You essentially rob them of all their spell cards, which most decks right now rely very heavily on spell cards, and if they cannot out this, they basically just lose the game right there. I side this, however, because a lot of decks, such as Snake Eye, run a level 1 link such as Relinquish, which requires a level 1 monster. So essentially, you are giving them resources by just giving them this. But on the flip side, another hidden plus that this gives is monsters on their field, on their hand that require an open field. They have this, so not only can they not activate resolve spell cards, they now cannot special summon monsters that require open field now, which is pretty bonkers, honestly. I sided though for the reasons stated, where it's easily outed by level 1 links, but certain decks such as Branded, Tenpai Dragon, they just crumble underneath this. And last but not least, since we're only going through monsters today, we're not going through spell traps. That'll be for a different video. We're going to go through our Vision Hero monsters. I'm also going through extra deck monsters, since there's a lot of extra deck monsters you might consider for a hero deck. First, you got a 3 Ferris. 3 Ferris, you always run 3 Ferris. Always, always, always. What Ferris does is, what you call it, you can discard 1 hero monster, any hero monster, to special summon this card. Bam. So you can discard itself to special summon it. And what it does when it's special summoned is you can put one other Vision Hero monster, right? One other Vision Hero monster into the spell and trap card zone. Which, when we get to those monsters, right, you can see why that's so useful. What's called, that is how it once per turn, so don't forget that. You always want to, like I said, you always want to see because you want to see this in your open hand. It's the same thing as Stratos, except this is even more impactful because even if you draw 2, you can just discard 1 for its own effect. It feeds into itself. It's a 1.5 card combo. And the card that you're going to be searching for this is Increase, to put in Spell Trap card. Increase's effect is if it's in your Spell and Trap card zone, you can send 1 hero monster to the graveyard to special summon it. And when it's special summoned, you can special summon another Vision Hero monster, level 4 lower Vision Hero monster from your deck to the field, which is always going to be Vion. The thing about this too, though, it has a second effect that a lot of people forget about often, is when you take any sort of damage, any damage, battle damage, effect damage, you can place this from your graveyard to the Spell and Trap card zone, and therefore use it again if you have more targets in the deck. This one, people are always contentious whether you run this 1 or 2. I say to run this in 2 for the pure fact that if you draw this card, the entire Vision Hero combo is dead. Ferris, you want to do this one because this one, Vion, doesn't have an effect when it's in your Spell and Trap. So if you draw the 1 of, your entire, this entire line is just dead. It's just dead, dead, dead. And sometimes it happens. Or it's called, yes, you likely draw 1, but sometimes having a hand isn't too big because you can send her a Ferris, you can send it for a Poly, and as long as you have 1, the combo's still alive. That's what I do too. But for a more consistent deck, you can just put 1, and just hope you don't draw it. That's what a lot of people do. And it raises the skill ceiling of this, it really raises the ceiling of this deck by a lot. But it is very nerve-wracking to draw the one of, which is why I always put it at 2. And next you have Vion. Vion's effect is, well, first of all, Vion is what your special summon would increase often, which is why you're playing Vion. It's an easy way to summon it. Vion is when this is normal summon, special summon. You can Foolish Burial, send one card from your, send one hero monster from your deck to the graveyard, such as Perfect Target being Malicious or Denier. Perfect targets, since you want to see those in your graveyard. What you're gonna call it? Its secondary effect is it can banish one hero monster to add poly to hand. That is the primary way you search for poly in this deck. What's called, the thing about Vion is a lot of people, I personally run it at 2. I believe you have to run it at least 2, but a lot of people run it at 3. Because it's honestly a really good normal summon. I prefer to run through the entire combo. And if I run through the entire combo, I'm not going to need to normal summon this because I already went through the combo, I already got out. So a lot of times I feel like I don't need to run this at 3. But a lot of people run it at 3 for the normal summon so you can get the Foolish Burial and a poly consistently, more consistently, just in case you can't get your combo out. And you still have that as a viable option. How I think that's doing too much, which is why I run at 2. And oftentimes you see you opening hand anyway because you're running at 2. So it is what it is. And the last thing that hero players have been running a little bit more, at least I think they have been running more and they should, is actually the one of the Crosskeeper. It's not hero card, which is why you're seeing this in hero deck. However, Crosskeeper is very, very, very nice for 2 reasons, which I'll say right here. You can send this from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon one elemental hero monster, such as Stratos, from your hand or your graveyard. If you special summon from your hand, right, send to the graveyard. If you special summon from your hand, it's just a special summon, it keeps its effect. But if you special summon from graveyard, its effects are negated. However, it is another body. Sometimes you need that extra body. Honestly, having that, not having to waste your normal something like that is useful at times. But the real reason why I keep this here is for its secondary effect. Is if you special summon an elemental hero fusion monster, such as Elemental Hero Sunrise, you can use its effect in Grave, right, to banish yourself, to draw 2, and put 1 to the bottom of the deck. And that's good for 2 reasons, actually. One, for the obvious reason, where it gives you free resource. You get you get C2 cards and decide which card, not even of those 2, but which card in your hand you want to send back. And the second reason is, let's say you're unlucky, right? And you draw both your increases, or if you only have one, your increase. This is your one way of sending that back to deck. So that you unbrick your hand that way, which is extremely, extremely nice. I cannot tell you how nice that is. It's the only way. And honestly, this is almost never a brick. Unless you have literally no other hero monsters, this is not a brick. What you're gonna call it? So I play at 1 of. I've been considering putting it at even 2 of, but I think the 1 of is good enough. Being a Foolish Burial target, being an extender in of itself, like, I am always happy seeing this. And I think you would be, you should consider actually playing this more. And that's it. Those are all the hero monsters that I would say is considered running. Some people run an Aqua Dolphin. I think that's a trap, which is why, because yes, you get to rob them of your hand traps, but now you use a resource to do that, so why would you do that? But other than that, that's all the heroes I'd say it's good enough to run in heroes. Stuff like Bursting Tricks, Avion, those are just dead cards. So that's it. I'm going to try to put out the other videos for spell cards and extra deck mount cards soon. But until then, I'll see y'all later. Peace.